Hello there, it's Fernanda Paiva here, Hitchhiking Stars, bringing you information and insights about the lunations. So let's talk about the second full moon of 2025. So this full moon will be happening on the 12th of February 2025, and it's going to be happening at 24 degrees Leo. So it's a fiery full moon. Leo traditionally is connected with self-expression, fun, the inner child as well. So we can do inner child work, reclaim our inner child, pay attention to that element of fun, romance, novelty in our lives, and really have a powerful opportunity to check the level of authenticity on how we're living our lives, how we're doing things, how we are showing up in every area of our life. So I think Leo can really be an invitation to check how the authenticity is. So that's kind of a basic introduction here, but there's so much more that I want to share with you. So the key main aspect that this full moon is doing is an opposition to Mercury. So we've got Mercury not too far from the Sun. So the Sun is at 24 Aquarius. Mercury is at 26 degrees Aquarius, so they're quite close together. The Moon is forming an opposition to both the Sun and Mercury, but there are also both ends of this opposition is forming a square to Uranus at 23 degrees Taurus. So as usual, the general vibe with the full moon as a culmination, as a big realization, potential for insights, for clarity and all of that, that's kind of added another layer having that square to Uranus. So there is a layer of expect the unexpected, of there's another layer of surprises. So really there's a very unpredictable energy that this full moon can really bring into our lives. And I honestly think that the key word here will be authenticity. I think whenever we have a Uranus transit, personally speaking, if Uranus is doing something powerful to your birth chart right now, to your Sun, your Ascendant, your Venus, your Mars, etc., there is a need to show up differently. And that usually happens through a sense of awakening. And the clue there is to really take a look at where in your life you feel you're stuck in a rut. Because where you feel in a rut, Uranus is going to come and revolutionize it and really change it and really shake things up, right? So that energy is really imprinted in this full moon. But there is more. I mean, there are a few other minor kind of aspects here that I want to talk about. And I don't mean minor in the, original use of minor aspects in astrology, but because I do consider them a little minor in relation to that square to Uranus, which is so precise. We'll talk about the other aspects that the chart for the full moon has. But before then, obviously, we'll talk about the Sabian symbols as well, which I always love bringing. But before we do that, for this full moon, I really wanted to give you a sense of timeline. I really wanted to give you some food for thought to connect with a couple of other lunations in the past. All right? So the first one that I wanted to mention is that there was a full moon on the 15th of November last year, so 2024, that happened at 24 degrees Taurus. So the Sun was at 24 Scorpio, and the Moon was at 24 Taurus. So that full moon happened in conjunction to Uranus. So we have obviously the exact same degree. We have the same modality, right? So we have the same mode of operation. So the full moon in Leo at 24 and the full moon in Taurus at 24 as well. So both fixed signs and both very much connected to transiting Uranus in the sky. So whatever you can remember from the full moon in November last year can give you a little bit of a clue on what the general flavor can be in relation to this coming full moon. It's almost we're going to be looking at similar issues, similar flavors, but from a different window. So different elements are involved and it is a different perspective. The full moon isn't conjoined, Uranus is in square. So really, I think one of the things that comes to mind when I look at this configuration is is a potential mismatch between our values, Taurus, and our need for self-expression or our need for fun, Leo. Our need for novelty, Leo, right? Also, obviously, when it comes to Aquarius and Leo, we have that duality of who am I when I'm in a group? Who am I when I'm by myself, under the spotlight? How special am I actually? And how much of a kind of a human, belonging to the human family am I as well? So there is that sense of community, groups of people, sharing values with the community, etc., and the specialness of the individual that Leo will be talking about, right? Uranus forming a square to that duality here is saying that we need to find new ways, more creative ways of balancing these two axes in our lives, right? Now, the invitation here for you is to have a look at where Aquarius is, where Leo is in your chart, because that's where you're going to be bound to be feeling this duality, the push and pull between belonging to the group, wanting to take part, be accepted, do something for the common good, Aquarius, and the need to stand out and be your own person, right? With the Leo as well. So that's something that's going to be there. And the duality there is definitely activated by that Uranus saying, hey, how are you going to bring these two? We need to review, we need to rejiggle the way that we're doing this. We need to revolutionize it somehow. We need to do things differently. And with a full moon, with the powerful energy of a full moon, and the powerful square to Uranus at the same time as well, and Mercury being involved as well, I would say that we probably will be channeling very powerful insights during this full moon, that we can have some very powerful ideas, some very powerful revelations about this duality and this general topic in our lives and how we deal with, right? So that's something. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring you from the past is that this full moon is a culmination, right? So we think about new moons as planting a seed, etc. The moon is growing, and then we get to the full moon as a culmination, as a revelation, as a harvest. So this full moon is a harvest that's connected to a new moon that happened on the 16th of August, 2023. So 2.5 years ago, my math is not great, but August 23. So in August 2023, there was a new moon that happened exactly at 23 degrees Leo. And that new moon happened in square to Uranus. So it's a very, very similar flavor, is a similar, almost the exact same degrees that these planets are. So we're going through that again. It's a different experience, it's a different moment, but we're going through that again. So if you can go back, so for the ones that do journaling, it's going to be a lot easier for you to go back to look in the past and see what happened. But that could be a very interesting exercise, because the seeds that you're planting in August 23 are now bearing fruits. And this is the harvest moment. All right. So this is something I just wanted to mention. Now let's go into the Sabian symbol for this full moon. So the Sabian symbol for 24 degrees Leo is a large camel crossing the desert. So a large camel crossing the desert. Now that's a particular image, and it got me reflection, got me thinking. And I really immediately went to check what is the symbolism of camel. So what is camel about, right? And the things that I found about that was that camel is associated with endurance, resilience, not giving up the long journey. So think about camels crossing the deserts and, etc. So endurance, but also one of the keywords that came up is the strength. And strength is also the tarot card for Leo. So I thought it was an interesting bridge here that I could make between the camel and the Sabian symbol, the tarot cards for the imagery of Leo, and what this Sabian symbol is telling us about this full moon. So we're gonna have to look into themes of independence, self-reliance, the way to be authentic with no dependency issues, or having to have a real serious look at any dependency issues. So thinking about the differences between interdependence and codependence, right? So how much are you dimming your light to try to belong to a community or to a group of people? Or how much are you rejecting the group? So really, coming from the Leonine perspective there, really think about that sense of independence. And I think the square to Uranus will be reinforcing that feeling, reinforcing that flavor even more strongly. Wherever we're not being authentic and we're staying in places just to please, or just because, other reasons rather than the authenticity of our journey, of our individual journey, we might have to let go. We might have to let go of these places, these relationships, these jobs, these roles that we're playing in the world. So there is something that we really need to look at in terms of self-reliance, independence, and authenticity, that this full moon is really, really highlighting. And that's how I see the imagery of the Strength card as well. Is really talking about the journey, the strength that it takes for that inner journey, for the journey of individuation that Leo is so associated to as well. Of really being unapologetically ourselves, right? And really showing up in our own way, making our mark in the world, right? It takes courage. It takes strength. So this full moon will definitely be a wonderful time to get in touch with this, to really look into that, to really reflect and ponder on those issues, right? For the other aspects in the astrological map of this full moon, we also have Mars in trine to Saturn. So Mars is still retrograde here, 17 degrees Cancer, and Saturn is at 18 degrees. I think that trine between Mars and Saturn can be super healing, can be super supportive. And in fact, the other aspect is Mars forming a square to Chiron. So we're still learning, and this is a long-lasting transit because Mars went retrograde and is going to go direct again and is going to square Chiron again. So there's like huge need to reevaluate our ability to be assertive, to do ourselves, to go our way, to stand by who we are, to fight for who we are, right? To pick our fights as well, to choose our fights, to select when we're going to be assertive and we're not. But this is there as well as an underlying flavor, beyond the general Leo authenticity, independence, etc. There is no self-reliance and independence if we don't have a good relationship with our Mars in our charts. So Mars could also definitely, as it is in the birth, in the birth chart of the full moon, it could be pointing out at this process that we're all going through, learning about self-reliance and how to be assertive in a healthy way or in a healthier way, so we can reclaim our authentic selves, so we can have more independence, we can have more self-reliance, talking about a healthier way of doing it. All right, so that's it. I'm wishing you all a wonderful and fun full moon Leo, and I'll be speaking to you all soon.